Hit high down the left field line. It's trouble if it's fair, and it's gone. F.P. Santangelo is killing the Cubs.
Coming into this one.
F.P. Santangelo hits a towering fly to right. Retreating is Sosa, and it's gone. My goodness. F.P. Santangelo with his second homer of the game, third of the season.
Hello, what's going on, everybody? Episode 12 now of Connected by Series Podcast, your favorite trio. Back once again, Garrett Smith, Danny Espinoza, I'm Seth Smith. Here we are, another week, another good episode on tap as we caught up with former MLB player and current Washington Nationals Color Commentator F.P. Santangelo. Very fortunate. Danny was able to set that up, take advantage of a major connection there, and him allowing the time he did to chat with him. Again, it was game day for him, so hours before first pitch, he took the time to join us. He talked about all sorts of things from his early playing days to some of the stories during the good times in that postseason run, and maybe having one or two too many, but having a heck of a time and sharing stories like that. And it was awesome. It was short and sweet, and super, super happy we got to do it. And can't wait to share it with you guys. But before that, let's get into the ever important segment here, navigate our way through our highs and lows in our past week. We try and keep up pretty decent in our group chat and stuff, but it's always fun to, hear the ins and outs during this segment of kind of just how your week was and if anything small might have stuck out or anything. But I don't know who wants to start, but go right ahead.
I'll jump on it. I'll go. So I got one that immediately when I saw it was like, all right, I'm saving this for the pod, because it was a high and a low, and it has nothing to do with me, but more with just the society in general. And not political, don't worry. I see your guys' eyes.
I was hoping it was.
I was looking for my seatbelt, like, oh, buckle up.
Well, no, okay. I mean, it could be when it comes to, like, energy and all that good shit. But so I went down to 10 last week and just to have lunch with a couple friends. And in the parking structure where I parked, I saw a Tesla Model X. And it pulled up, threw its flashers on, and opened its side doors in the back, and freaking table saw, freaking full toolbox, toolkit, the whole nine, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought either high or low, because it's a high that, holy shit, we're at that point where it's Tesla.
Those are just regular, yeah. Yep. Or
it's my low that, get the fuck out of here. You're using a Tesla for a work truck. And it wasn't even like, at
we're
first
not
I was
ready
like,
for
I
that.
even parked. I reparked and watched the dude, and he was full on work truck. I was like, oh, maybe he's just like moving or helping some
Did he have
guys
like a
out with
blanket down, or he just raw dogged it and threw it on there and like
full on freaking table? Or
is that the SUV one? Over?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And
what a dork.
It made me cringe.
Dude.
It made me cringe real bad. Dude,
did you check his hands if he had any calluses or anything? Or
he probably didn't.
There's no shot you're driving a Tesla and working.
That's crazy.
It was bizarre.
Knucklehead.
It was super bizarre. So that was I don't help me out. Which way do you tilt that?
No,
I thought it was.
That's a thumbs down. We're going thumbs down for sure, because we're not there. Are you kidding me? We're not there. Like,
no.
I mean,
I was gonna video
more and
throw it on Kook of the day, but I just was. I was almost ashamed for watching. But
hopefully we'll go with, maybe it was like a one-time thing, like his work truck was in the shop, or who knows? But I go.
It's just like, hope he's got a sick diesel that just rumbles, and he's like, "Shit, my car."
Maybe it wouldn't fit in
trucks in the shop.
Garage.
I gotta.
Benefit of the doubt.
Got the wife's car.
Nonetheless, when you saw him, stooge.
Bad luck.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, so we'll go with that. My low.
Yeah.
All right. My high is shit, man. It's kind of a toss up again with this one because it's this heat. I'm loving the heat because it's my backyard, my freaking plants and my yard. It's on point right now. Everything's blooming. It's loving the sun. However, I am not. My house. I'm in Old Town Orange. I don't have AC in my house. This shit
Yeah.
is brutal. And
Yeah,
but
swamp
no,
cooler,
I
huh?
love that it's hot. I do love that it's hot. I hate that Danny's wearing a sweatshirt right now, but I I like that it's warm. I'll take the heat.
I wear a
Yeah.
sweatshirt. Yeah, well, I was.
Well, you heard him. He's got deficiency. Stone Naturals. He needs vitamin D.
That's
Long
right.
sleeves. Big long
I was-
sleeve guy.
I was swimming with the kids, dude. I was, sleeves actually keep you cooler, keeps the sun off your skin. So I was swimming with the kids, came inside, AC was on. I was like, man, I'm just gonna put a sweatshirt on.
Yeah.
But let me think. My highs and lows. Highs. Went back to.
I went on a mountain bike ride.
Oh, how was
That
that?
was my high. Let
That's
me
cool.
throw back there.
There you
I
go.
went on a ride.
There you
and
go.
it
You're
felt
lucky. Your
amazing.
time was almost running up there, so just fucking.
No,
squeezed it
I
in.
looked in my garage. I was like, oh shit, there. Yeah, my bike. Yeah, what?
Hell yeah, that's cool. Wait, where at? Was it local?
Just Santiago Oaks, like back Irvine Park, behind Irvine Park and all that. It was actually a
Yeah.
good ride.
Sweet.
Just felt good to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
See, my high I got Friday. I went on a no e-bike.
Ooh, big boy.
Wow.
27 miles
Oh shoot.
Ooh,
and like
what a
20
bitch.
2,400 feet of elevation. Most of it was street, though. It was almost all street. It was more just for the endurance to.
I think I saw it on your Insta.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's more just endurance. Just where I'm trying to get on to longer rides so I can go into the mountains and really do 27, 30 miles and not have an issue. So that was one of my highs. My other high, went back to Arizona, saw a house that looks like the chance to buy. Yeah, trying to get rid of some of the properties here and get a property over there. And I would say that's my high. I would say the low is that the drive. I know it's only 6 hours, but God, man.
Yeah,
6 hours with traffic on the way back is miserable. I like to drive from like midnight to 6 in the morning. There's no one on the road. The
Yep.
18-wheelers are
Crazy.
cruising. They just stay on the right lane. Everyone else go on the left. You don't have a lane of 30 cars in a row you got to get past. Like, you just cruise by it. But, man, you take off at 8 o'clock in the morning. You got all those idiots, doing 100, cutting in and out of the trucks and shit. And I'm like, that's just for the bird. You're going to kill somebody.
It's like Mario
Yeah.
Kart.
Yeah, it is. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All
Yeah.
right, Seth.
My high, obviously, if you have the pleasure of watching this episode, this mic is probably my highlight, dude. I'm stoked. This new mic, like, I felt like a freaking podcaster before, but I'm like in now, Like, I feel like,
Stepped it up.
yeah, dude, like, it's legit now. No messing around.
You
But
and
the thing's
Danny
pretty
could get
sweet.
in the studio.
Yeah, no, we both gold. When we got these, my buddy Kyber, actually, shout out Kyber, huge part of this. But showing us these mics, I looked them up, and next thing you know, they were perfect. And I don't know what it sounds like yet. We'll find out when we're done, but hopefully it sounds all right. That's
Sounds
probably my
good.
high for sure. Always fun. I'm into this kind of shit, so I like having this. My lows, man, probably is that I didn't have I don't know if I have any lows. I didn't have anything too bad happen. Same
You work too
old-
many hours?
Well, yeah, that's always the case. But no, it wasn't too bad. It was all in all pretty solid week, just day by day. That's about it, man. Just if you see, I'm trying to think of ideas for the
I was just gonna point it out.
can't see
So
it because the camera, but on my
Your
TV,
shoulders are so big.
yeah, well, what's not meant to mention what I've been lifting up and putting down these days. Jeez. But yeah, I was like, dude, how can we keep promoting this? So I put it in the back, but it obviously did not work. You can't see anything.
We need
at all.
we need to work that out a little bit better.
Yeah,
but
well, the lighting's
I like
changed.
it.
It's got
It was
darker.
solid.
A for effort.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
there it is. The W flag still looks great. But no, that's about it. Playoffs are here for some sports. That we'll use that as a nice little segue. Following that little segment there, the highs and lows. But NBA postseason starting today. Us three.
Are the Seattle Sonics
basketball?
Seattle Supersonics are there. Gary the Glove. Gary the Glove has led them back. They're relevant, baby. But no, they're like who they turned into. OKC surprisingly is in there. But we are. I mean, I enjoy sports. I cover sports. This, that. NBA is kind of that one where I don't necessarily have like a favorite team. I mean, I would put that on the Lakers. But if the Lakers lost in this first round, like I'm probably not losing sleep over it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not too worried about it. Like they're fun to watch when they're good, but I'm not like too sad when they're bad. So that's how I know I'm not really too invested. And I think you guys can kind of say that too.
That's kind of how I am for like the whole league. But
yeah. So that's why I think it'll be fun. Like we don't really know shit, especially since the bubble. Like I can't get ESPN
basketball
to stay on my freaking smart TV. So it's just been like hit or miss of watching games. So we're just kind of going into this. I think it'd be a fun idea.
yeah,
I think it'd be pretty
I'll put
cool.
it this way: my basketball interest peaks at March Madness, and that's only if I have a bracket.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
That's the only time I watch.
Well,
is March
here we go.
Madness.
I'm with you. College basketball. I'm with you.
We're doing our own bracket then. We got it here. FP, Big, Expo, and Nationals guys. So in that honor, we'll use the Harrisburg Senator hat, AA team for the Nationals. All right. So you two will pick closest number 1 through 10 of the number I am thinking. Easy. Let me finish. Of the number I am thinking between 1 through 10, whoever is the closest to that number between 1 through 10 has the first overall pick in this year's 2020 NBA bubble postseason team draft thing.
8.
4.
Wow, it was 4 on the money.
There you
So, G, you go first.
G
Hold on.
money.
Let me get a good shuffle here, and then just reach on in there. Good. That was good. You have the Clippers.
All right.
Wow,
Clip show.
That's a good pick. That's from what they tell me. From what people tell me, that's a pretty good pick. Danny, reach on in there. And you have
Seattle Supersonics.
the Pacers.
Who's on the team?
Well, you know, we're gonna figure out the
Reggie
logistics
Miller.
soon.
Reggie Miller.
Mark Jackson. And
It's only Pacer I know.
my first pick, the Rockets. All right.
Oh, a bunch of babies.
Yao Ming.
Yeah.
I know that.
All
Yao
right.
Ming's
And
on
we
that
talked
team
about,
still.
should we do a second team?
Yeah. Yes,
All right, G.
Absolutely.
G, you're up again, and your pick is. You get in there? Did you get a good one?
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. You have the Trailblazers.
All right. Where are they
Wow.
from?
Portland. Stay weird.
Portland. Yeah.
Stay weird.
Yeah.
That's right.
Stay ready.
Danny, your second team.
Stay weird.
Let's go. You have the Nets. Brooklyn Nets.
Okay.
No
They're
KD.
in the playoffs?
No KD. That's all right. Here we go. Seth's final pick of the draft, Mr. Relevant, is
Probably the Lakers.
Yep.
the Nugs. The Nuggets.
Oh, shit.
Perfect. Fitting. All right. Well, bam. That does it. G, you have the Portland Trailblazers and the Clippers. Danny, you have the Pacers and the Nets. Seth has the Rockets and the Nuggets. So throughout this, we will determine what the winner. We have settled that the winner will determine what the other two people have to do, whether that's looking like a fool.
I tell you right now, if I win this thing, we got
Borat suits.
We got 2 Borat bathing suits going on.
I like it. Hey, you're the winner.
I like it.
You get to
But
decide.
that's only if you win. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if I win, that's what's going on.
So is that we'll
right.
leave it at that. The winner will just decide.
the
we'll
winner
figure that out.
decides.
It's not a set thing. All right.
Right.
All right. Hell yeah.
And
That's
just
cool.
to clarify the rules here, it's whoever goes furthest.
Yes, single team. You're not both teams have to advance. So
You
like
just need whatever.
Right.
whatever team wins and it keeps advancing, and say
And let's say they get knocked out in the same round, not against each other, but they get
Rochambeau.
knocked out in the same round. Does it? How many
I would
games
say
the
yes.
one goes?
yes. Like
Okay.
if one swept and the other one goes 7, then the 7 moves on. And if
Okay.
we need a third thing, like I don't know, we'll figure that shit out. But hey, it'll be fun. It'll give us something to pay attention to, and I don't know much about it, so I'm down. It'll be fun. Follow along with us. I'm sure we'll put up some good content on social media. Shout out, follow us on Instagram, Twitter. We're all over the place. It should be a good time. But again, that started today, and so we'll be right up on that from the beginning, which should be fun. So, all right. Well,
let's go Ducks.
Let's go sports. We love sports. But that's it. That's it for the first part here.
All right.
Without further ado, we'll send it to FP Santangelo. Great interview, great sit down with the current color commentator for the Washington Nationals, and a little bit of everything included in the conversation. So we'll send it to the interview now. Hello. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Connected by Seams podcast, one that I'm fired up for as we welcome former Major League Baseball player and current color commentator for the 2019 World Series champion, Washington Nationals, FP Santangelo. FP, this is so cool, man. Thanks for joining us. How we doing?
I'm doing great. This is really cool. It's just like all coming full circle for me. I'm getting interviewed by Danny Espinosa, one of my favorite names of all time.
How about that? The roles reverse.
That was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it was actually talking about that when trying to find videos and just doing research stuff on YouTube. I actually stumbled across an interview with you two. There was a lot of cool stuff on there. So pretty neat, like you said, to let it come full circle like this.
It is. It's cool in the sense that I don't think this is my 10th year in DC doing this. So I don't think there's any player that I've ever stood up for more, that I've gotten crushed more for on the internet than Danny, because when he was struggling, I would do my best to cover for him all the time.
100%.
People would always just crush me, saying, "Wait, what are you doing? He's striking out every time." I'm like, "Hey, A, I remember how hard it was, and B, I know how hard he works at it every day, and I know he's trying his ass off right now." So, one of my favorite all-time players, Danny. I talked to you yesterday. I know you're doing well. You have a wonderful family, and we miss you here in DC.
I appreciate it, man. I know you always stood up for me, and there were definitely probably some hard days to stand up for me when I was sitting there swinging and missing and swinging at shit that was 54 feet in front of the plate. But I know you always had my back, and I appreciate that. You know, it goes back to previous one we had about commentators having players back and understanding what it's like. And so I know you always did, and I know that you came from the player's side and understood how hard this game was.
I still do. I try. I mess up every now and then. Hey, do you guys really think this is Danny Espinosa? Are we sure about that right now? Is this an imposter with that beard?
I don't think anyone
him?
can. I don't think anyone can replicate that thing. That thing's not coming off.
That's a one of a kind. That's a one of a kind piece right there.
Strong beard game. Strong.
Kind of just about you, FP. I know you guys game day today in New York. Not sure when this will be released, but taking on the Mets a little later today. So even cooler that you would hop on and take the time. For you were born in Michigan, moved to Sacramento when you're 8 years old, went to Valley High School, went to Sac City College, and then eventually transferring to play for legendary two-time national champion head coach Ron Frazier at the University of Miami. what kind of took you to Coral Gables, Florida, and to become a Hurricane?
A guy named Jeff Kent. I went to Cal Berkeley my freshman year.
I've heard of him.
And didn't play my whole freshman season. And I came back and thought I'd be the starting shortstop my sophomore year. But Cal recruited a shortstop named Jeff Kent, and he took my job. So I wasn't playing the beginning of my sophomore year. So I gave my scholarship back, went back to Sac City at junior college, played there, and got recruited by everybody all of a sudden. So I chose University of Miami because I was ready to get far away from home, and I really wanted to play in Omaha. I used to watch the College World Series on ESPN every year, and I thought that going to Miami would be my best chance to play in Omaha. So got a scholarship there, went across the country, and had the best year ever. But was as a redshirt junior, it was time to sign. I think I was 22, 23 years old at the time. So it was time as a 20th round draft pick. It signed for $1,000. It was time to go take my chance and take my shot. So it was cool looking back at it. I made a bunch of lifelong friends. Their current coach, Gino DeMari, was my roommate there at Miami on the road in college, and has been one of my best friends over the years. So I've stayed real close to the program because of him, and went down there this year before COVID closed down everything. And they had a really good chance of being in Omaha and winning a national championship. So I feel bad for those guys, but it was an incredible journey for me to play there and be a part of the program.
Wow, that's so rad. Yeah, looking at all that, I think you were one of 55 guys to make it to the big league, to play in a big league game that's come through Miami. So pretty storied program there. Yeah, to say the least.
It's a hell of a program. Hell of a program. I mean, you should look at all the guys that have come out of there, and to be able to go to that program. And
the appearances in the tournament.
Have success there.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I think the Dirtbags are up there too, to be honest, with a bunch of big leaguers as well, and some really good ones, if I'm not mistaken.
We definitely have some good ones, but I don't know if we have the amount or the history. Like we have some really good big leaguers, but the history that Miami carries in college baseball with the amount of appearances they have and the guys that have come out of there is pretty phenomenal. I know Long Beach didn't really do much until late 80s, early 90s. You know, Miami, I feel like they've been a powerhouse since
long time
they came to America. I don't know, but they've been a powerhouse forever.
You got the second coming of Babe Ruth on and off the field in Jason Giambi, so one of my favorite teammates ever. So
yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, legend.
Well, I guess being a Halo fan and being from this area, just another reason not to like Jeff Kent taking you away from Cal. But hey, it opened up a ton of things for you. I mean, you got your broadcasting journalism degree from Miami. So has broadcasting kind of always been a thing, even while going through school and playing baseball? Has that always kind of been an interest for you?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about growing up, and you guys can relate to this with, you know, Vin Scully in Southern California, you have voices of your summer. So, you know, I grew up in Michigan until I was 6 or 7, and then we moved to California. But I can distinctly remember my dad and I, you know, sitting in the house on a summer night, listening to Ernie Harwell, legendary voice for the Tigers, and then Hank Greenwald for the Giants, and Dwayne Kuiper and Mike Krukow now, who I think are some of the best, with John Miller. So throughout my life, the voice of the summer and the voice of all these ball clubs has been a huge influence on me as a baseball fan growing up. So I thought, well, to be fully honest, I thought it would be an easy major in college when I was playing baseball. But I also thought, you know, if baseball didn't work out, because you never know in college, there would be a cool career to have to be around the game if I didn't make it to the big leagues. So, you know, I was a journalism major, broadcast journalism major in college, and a lot of the stuff that I learned at Miami, believe it or not, those were the only classes I went to be honest. I mean, I blew a lot of classes off because of baseball, but the ones in front of the camera, the TV classes, some of the things I learned there have helped me out in my current career.
Oh boy, can I relate to that. That is, yeah, I hear you on that, man. But it's so fun. It's so cool. I wasn't sure. You being an ex-player, you see it so much, that transition to the booth, that I wasn't sure if it was just you developed over time, but you actually, you know, kind of got to see what it was like beforehand, and I find that pretty cool.
You know what's cool is Mike Krukow and Dwayne Kuiper, when I did the pre- and post-game show for the Giants A lot of ex-athletes kind of want to be broadcasters, but they also don't know what it takes or want to put in the work. So when they saw I was really serious about it and all in, and that I was doing my research and studying up and trying to get better every day, they took me under their wing and they showed me what it means to be a major league broadcaster, that you have to work hard at it. And I think most importantly, you have to respect the position. That I have one of 30 jobs in America, and I'm the voice of a region that explains baseball to millions of people every single night. While some of the things I say might get eye rolls in the clubhouse, I'm still trying, the vast majority of the people that are listening are fans, and they didn't have baseball in this region for a long, long time. So I do a lot of like general ed teaching of baseball in my broadcast. I was a coach in the minor leagues with the Giants for a couple of years, a hitting coach, and I wanted to be a major league manager when I retired. But then I did the whole minor league thing again. I said, this sucks. Like, I was getting paid $30,000 a year. I was making no money. I was staying in Motel 6s in Bakersfield, California. No offense to Bakersfield.
Oh,
But
love it.
that ballpark.
Nothing taken.
Yeah. So I decided to put my college degree to work, and I started doing sports talk radio. But I think the main thing is, and my point here is I cherish my job. I realize the importance of it, and I don't just go flip the switch every day. Danny can tell you, I would talk to him every day and try to get information for the broadcast. And I think the guys knew, as a former player, even if they told me things I couldn't repeat upstairs, I didn't, so I gained their trust. Like, Danny could tell me his hamstring's barking or something, and I wouldn't go up there and say it, but then that would give me a reason to cover him if maybe he didn't go first or third on a ball. So I think over the years, the guys have realized they can trust me and tell me things that won't be repeated. And if there's something really good, and I've done this with you, Danny, before, I'm like, hey, can I use that on TV tonight? You're like, yeah, bro, go ahead. So you gain that trust with the players, and you take your job seriously. And I think, the work ethic that I had as a very average player to make it to the major leagues has kind of carried over to my broadcasting career, that I don't take it for granted every day. And like Danny, he's still playing, but whatever he does in the future, because of his work ethic, that'll carry over to whatever he decides to be after baseball.
Well, I like how you talk about the relationship that you create between, like when I was there, you create between the guys in the clubhouse and yourself, because, as a player, as FP, being on both sides now, is that you're kind of brought up, as you're coming young, is you don't really trust the media, because they're looking for something to put someone, throw someone on the table, looking for storylines. So when you have a former player in FP, and when you say something's off record, or you say you're just talking about the game, or hey, what were you looking for, or what you're just talking about, whatever, you have trust in FP that he's not going to go out and repeat something to make you, the organization, your family, somebody look bad. So he would ask, do you mind if I use that on air? It's like, yeah, that one's fine. But, you could have a conversation with FP, and, it could be just between you guys.
I think they also knew that off the field, too, if they saw me in a bar or something, that they didn't have to worry about me saying, oh, I saw Danny at a bar last night, or Jason Worth out, or Michael. They knew they could trust me on the field, off the field. And Danny, when you were there, it's not like that anymore. I think the players do their own thing, and it's not as communicative. That was a close punch. 2012 is even though we won the World Series last year, that was an amazing group of guys. You don't get that far without being a together group. But 2012 was also organic. You guys weren't supposed to win. You started winning. Your bullpen was a cast of characters with Burnett and Clippard and Storn and Ryan Matthews and you and Jason Worth and Adam LaRoche and everybody involved in that ball club will always be special to me, because that's the first time the Nats won. And it was just also new and surprising to everyone. And when you guys went out at night to have beers at the hotel bar or wherever, it was a close group. And you guys were a close unit. I'll never forget it as long as I live.
Yeah, that was something that, we would go out to dinner as a big group. It wasn't one or two of us. We went out and had dinner after a game, or we'd get into town and we'd have dinner as a group. Just because we were that close. You had 15, 20 guys going to dinner together, which is how a team's supposed to be. And now I don't know if the big leagues is like that anymore, but I think, and I'm sure you can attest to this, FP, is that was part of the fun of being in the big leagues, was having that camaraderie and going to dinner with your buddies. Like, that was the great part of being in the big leagues.
Yeah, well, it's not like that this year for sure, but
No.
hopefully next year we'll get back to normal. Knock on wood. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's so rad just listening to you talk about that, and this just, I mean, fires me up to listen to you and the passion, and you just talking about getting to know the players with my career and what I'm wanting to do. I'm in awe. That's so cool for you to get to do that. You know, obviously right now things a little bit different, but it's cool to hear that you don't take it for granted and you show up every day, and it is a grind and you got to put in the work, and you're, like you said, one of 30 guys that get to do that. And that's something special, and hats off to you for accomplishing that. Coming from the player background, you know what I mean? We go a little bit back to you. You got your chance and opportunity. You talk about the hard work and the determination Danny and effort he put in, but how about you? You put 7 years of time in the minor leagues before getting that chance to reach the bigs. You make your debut against the Marlins, hit 8th at Olympic Stadium, man. Talk about that and just kind of walk us through that day. I know there's some funny kind of stories that go along with it.
Well, crazy that August 2nd was the day, and that was 25 years ago.
Damn it, I have a note of that.
Shit.
I have a note
Oh,
of that.
wow.
So it goes fast. It goes fast, Danny. That beard's going to be gray before you know it.
It is. It's salty.
but you know, I was never a prospect like Danny. I signed for $1,000, you know, and I was a shortstop my whole life. And in Double-A, they made me a utility player. I started playing second and third, and then Felipe Alou said, "Can you play the outfield?" And I started playing center field and right field and left field. And I made myself more valuable. But you guys, you know, I was a 20th round draft pick that signed for $1,000. So that was a salmon swimming upstream my whole career. And I had to prove myself and stand out at every level to make it to the next level. And then I got to AAA, and as you guys know, the Expos had a bunch of young talent. So I was stuck in AAA for 4 years. I was actually the MVP of my team one year. I was hitting 270, scoring close to 100 runs every year, playing great defense at every position. That's what I was known for, catching the baseball. But there was nowhere to go. So finally one day I was the, you know, keep your head down, work hard, don't say anything to anyone. Our minor league director, Bill Guyvette, who I'm sure you guys know, he's a Southern California guy, was our minor league director. And I just got a wild hair, and I said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" I pulled him aside and I said, "Hey, I've done everything you guys can ask in the minor leagues. You know, I've never said anything to you, but my manager, Pete McCannon, thinks I could be one of the best utility players in the big leagues, and I need a chance. I deserved a chance. I deserve a chance. You know, if I fail, you guys can all go have a beer and say, I told you Santangelo couldn't play in the big leagues. But I deserve a chance, damn it. I'm playing my ass off down here. I play hard every day. I find a way to win, blah, blah, blah." And Guyvette goes, "Well, you're hitting 240 and this and that." I was hitting 240 at the time. Like, the balls to go up to your minor league director and say you need a chance at the big leagues.
Hey, confidence, baby. That's
Yeah.
confidence.
2 days later, I got called up. And Bill Guyvette said to me, he goes, "Make sure you're early. I'm going on a limb." When they called me in the office, they played some games on me and told me that they said, "You know, you got to stop breaking chairs in the tunnel, and you got to stop breaking lights in the tunnel. This is getting old after every at-bat. We can't find you anymore because you're not making any money, so we're going to make you sign autographs before the game tomorrow." I said, "Don't treat me like an effing kid. Like, I'm 27 years old. Like, don't treat me like a kid." He goes, "But you're going to sign autographs before the game in Montreal tomorrow." And I'm like, "Wait, oh, wow." And I started crying, and Pete McCannon goes, "You go to the big leagues, go to the big leagues." So,
That's awesome.
And Pete's
So
awesome. What a great guy to have, like, to be there with, right?
He's the best.
Yeah.
He's one of my best friends on the planet. We still text about once a week. So Bill Guyvette said, "Get there early." So I got there at 12:30 for a 7:30 game, and the locker room was actually closed. So I get to the clubhouse, the door's locked. I have to call security. They send down Bill Stoneman, who was our GM at the time. I tell this story in speaking engagements all the time, and he says, "Congratulations, FP, this is such a great story." He goes, "But don't you think you're a little early? It's a 7:30 game." And I said, "Man, I've been waiting my whole life for this. There's no such thing as early." So they opened the clubhouse, and then I don't know how they knew my number, but I was number 7, was hanging in my locker. And I was the only guy, 12:30 for a 7:30 game. It's not like it is today where the guys actually do get there that early. Back in the day, they didn't, because the clubhouses weren't as nice as they are today.
Yeah.
So I got there, and Felipe walks in like an hour later. Felipe Alou, my manager, shakes my hand, says congratulations, and he went and put my name in the 8th spot. So I played that night, got a couple of base hits, and stayed for 7 years. And I always, he went and put, the story goes that he put my name on the lineup card because he said he's more ready than any guy I have right now getting here at 12:30 for a 7:30 game. So my poor kids had to pay the price for that their whole lives, man. We were the car in the parking lot at soccer games when there was nobody else there. My son was the first kid to every baseball game when nobody else was there. I'm like, you be early. It looks good, man. You got to be the first one there every time. And they hated me for that. But it worked in my life, so I tried to get them to do the same thing.
That's awesome. I actually never heard that story. That's a bitchin' story. And to have Felipe,
thanks, man.
Hey, you're in the lineup because you're more, you're here early, you're prepared. Man, it just goes to everything that, like, I grew up on the same thing. Like, you get there early, you work hard, you do your shit the right way. And obviously you did it for a long time in the minors. And then you show up your first day. And literally, it's the reason he put you in the damn lineup.
And I got 2 knocks, and I never went back. And when I signed my contract, I'll never forget this. It was in the back room where they keep the bats with the GM, my first big league contract. Danny, you'll appreciate this because you just said the same damn thing. He said, sign right. He goes, sign right here. This is what you're going to make in AAA when you go back. And I looked him in the eye and said, I ain't going back. I said, I'm not going back.
Fuck yeah.
He goes, for some reason, I believe you, FP, and I never went back. Well,
That is so
at the
cool.
very end, when I was hanging on like player coach in Sacramento, but I stayed up there for 7 years.
That's awesome.
You seem like the guy that will have the answer to this question, but we've had a couple other big leaguers on. Brandon Laird, a familiar name for you, Aaron Barrett. We've asked them a couple of firsts. Do you remember your first big league hit and who it was?
No, Pedro Alvarez did not remember.
Pedro Alvarez did not remember. Who was your first hit against?
It was against Chris Hammond, little soft tossing lefty.
Yeah, I knew you would know.
And I was hitting eighth, and there was a double in front of me, a leadoff double. And you're hitting eighth in the National League, and the pitcher's on deck. And I'm like, do I move him here? I'm hitting right-handed against a left-hander. I'm like, do I move him here? And I kind of looked at Jerry Manuel as my third base coach. He called me down. He said, hey, just try to drive him in the other way. So I got a change up away, hit it down the right field line, triple, stand-up triple, first big league night.
Oh yeah.
Making Felipe look good.
And then I got hit left-handed later in the game. And I don't even think Danny knows this stat. There's only like 6 or 7 big leaguers in the history of baseball that have gotten hits from both sides of the plate in their major league debut. And Mickey Mantle is one of them. So I always thought that was
good.
You made the list with Mickey. That's all right.
That's
When
my favorite player. And you're wearing number 7.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
When you're in the same conversation as Mickey, you're doing something right.
Hell yeah.
That's like blasphemous for me to be in any 7 black guy, but whatever.
Pause the conversation there after learning so much about our guest, FP Santangelo, in just the first little bit here. Even just where we paused it, joining a very short list of MLB players to record a hit from both sides of the plate in their debut. He mentions names like Mickey Mantle being on that hit. Pretty awesome stuff. Danny, I know you guys had that prior connection. You also a switch hitter yourself. Maybe if you want to chime in a little bit on that and just kind of your relationship with FP.
Yeah, it was good to work with FP, him being a player and understanding what it was like to go through the ups and downs, because his career was ups and downs as a, versatile utility guy. And, for him to be able to take care of the players in that sense when they were struggling, and then be able to, not be like any other analyst and just bash them. Oh, why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? He had my back in a lot of situations. But it comes from experience. That comes from having gone, through the game and realizing that this isn't an easy game. Because as he says this wasn't an easy game for him. He was a grinder. He did everything he could to get the career that he had, and to have someone like that behind the players, looking out for the players, regardless of what's going on, it's a good feeling. You can create a relationship with someone like that especially when you're with him every single day of the year. You create a good relationship with him. So I really enjoyed playing with or working with FP. Such a great guy. I've stayed in touch with him ever since I've left Washington. But I'm happy to see that he's doing well. But just like I said, he's a guy that has the players back, and being a former big leaguer, that I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, and to actually back that up, as I had mentioned to you guys, I listened to my fair share of Nats games, not just when you were playing, but continue to and always have. And his commentary is very much like it wasn't a lie. Like, I don't think that's something that he just says in interviews or talking. Like, it's true. You listen to any game and he backs up his team and he's got them. And that does come a lot from his experience and going through that grind. And it's very evident in how he shares information about the game itself. And it also helps clarify. And I loved that he mentioned it, but bringing sports or baseball back to Washington, and obviously a lot of the fan bases probably not the most familiar with baseball. They might know it, but they don't know the ins and outs. And having somebody there to help explain why situations happen, and that goes also
he
to
took
like
pride in that too.
Very much so. And being in DC and obviously politics and whatnot, dude, people are ready to burn people at the stake there. And so with his kind of insight on why a situation may have happened, or, you know, why a player's doing XYZ, I think that helps kind of subside some things. But obviously, you know, Danny, I'm sure that you can attest to it. People don't care sometimes, but at least he's putting the info out there.
It definitely, he puts the info out there, and kind of like we said, like the fans of Washington D.C. are unbelievable. I love playing there. Great support from the fans always, but they didn't have baseball for a long time. You know, baseball was taken away from them, and so to have FP there to be able to explain, like you said, situations, or this is why this is happening for, you know, just a casual listener, that helps out a lot. You know, when you have someone that can really explain a sport or explain a situation, that gets them more in tune, more engaged with what's going on, and they have now a better idea or understanding of the game, and you end up drawing more fans because of that.
And it's, I mean, in other sports, we were talking about basketball earlier. Like, I like actually when somebody kind of explains what the hell is happening. Yeah. And so I can at least enjoy the game, or you learn, you know, you watch those games for enjoyment, but if you don't know what the hell is going on, how do you enjoy it? You need to help
I'm with
explain.
you.
Maybe people that know the game, and obviously I know baseball pretty well, but I still appreciate what he does, you know? So
I agree.
I thought that was pretty.
Yeah, but back to that point, that's what I thought was so cool of him taking advantage of being at Miami, and maybe him thinking, yeah, it was going to be a possible easy major or something for him to get into, but he also had the knowledge of like, hey, if baseball doesn't work out, this would be pretty cool to get into. So he kind of was able to like get a head start and fast forward that process of getting comfortable, figuring out how to properly explain stuff on the air, and kind of figure out stuff, you know, which I think that's cool. There's not a lot of guys. Usually it's field to the booth, you know what I mean? And either you have it or you don't, you know, but he kind of already had that past experience, which was pretty cool.
You sense that there's a common theme with a lot of our guests where they're going into school with a backup plan. And, I mean, they have their goal, but they go in, and a lot of our guests seem to go to broadcasting or major in broadcasting, or have that in their arsenal. I think that's kind of a funny theme that we're rolling with here.
Yeah,
apparently.
No, it is a cool little connection you've made there. It's because, I mean, we've talked to some very impressive resumed people, you know what I mean? But the fact that they had the knowledge to want to think of a plan B, and, you know, some are fully invested. It doesn't mean that they're not fully invested, but they also have the awareness that maybe this doesn't work out. So it is pretty cool, and he gets into a whole heck of a lot more in the second half, so we'll send it there now. You've got your chance full season the following year in 1996, finished fourth in the Rookie of the Year voting, 152 games, 7 homers, drove in 56. Pretty impressive list ahead of you. Edgar Renteria, Jason Kendall, Todd Hollingsworth went on to win it. But like you said, man, you turned it into a heck of a career, and maybe talk about that relationship with Felipe. I know you still use one of his famous lines and quotes, but I also was wondering, was Moises on that team as well?
Yeah, one of the best teammates I ever had. One of the best hitters I ever played with, man. Just a pure hitter. Very aggressive at the plate. But Felipe, I always say this, he's one of the biggest influences in my life, not just baseball. I mean, he taught me how to be a man in the minor leagues and how to be accountable. If you ever look at video or footage of Felipe playing, he played as hard as anybody, man. He dove and ran over catchers. And he was all about being fearless. That was his main thing. He could sense if somebody was scared a mile away. He could read body language on the field like nobody I've ever seen. And he would turn to the bench and say, "She's scared," like right away, and about his own players sometimes. Like he would see a pitcher come in and throw ball one and be like, "He's scared." And he just knew. So it was about being fearless. Like he loved players that were fearless and played with reckless abandon. So I was his favorite player in A-ball. I played 2 years for him in West Palm Beach, and then we became the big league manager. I got called up. And the there goes the no-hitter thing is because he thinks that's the first thing you have to take care of on a daily basis is getting your first hit. That there's no way you can win a game without a hit. So he would turn to the whole bench every day and say, "There goes the no-hitter," when we got our first hit. And we'd all kind of chuckle like, "Yeah, no shit, Skip. Like, we got our first hit." But he did it every single day. And then as a tribute to him, I decided in 2012 to start saying it on air as a tribute to one of the greatest people I know, one of my biggest influences. So I say it every night still to this. Look, I got the shirt on right now.
I was going to say that it's taken off. You got merch.
I've heard you say that.
There's T-shirts and
yeah.
Like, so all the like the Mets people, the Braves fans will be like, "This guy's a jackass. He's saying there goes a no-hitter in the first inning." But what they don't know is that it's my sneaky tribute to one of the biggest influences in my life, Felipe Alou.
That's really cool.
I heard you say that so many times, and I've never known that was the actual.
Yeah, I didn't know that was why.
History of it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I say it like once or twice a year, reset it. And I'll say it on the air. I said it like opening day this year, our first broadcast, for those of you that don't know. But yeah, I think people just think I'm screwing around, but it's a tribute to Felipe, man. It's my little sneaky way of a tribute to a guy that's literally one of my heroes.
That's really cool. I like when you're talking about how Felipe likes, like, hey, he would call out guys that were scared, whether it's his guys or the other, because you got to play in the era where if someone was scared, like say a middle infielder, like didn't like contact in the middle infield, what did everyone do? Man, hey, put this guy in left field. If he doesn't like, if it was like a middle infielder that people didn't like, or he didn't like having contact, I remember guys would be like, hey, every time there's a double play, you make sure he's on his ass. Put him in left field. And then you got to play in that era, which is cool. And now you got to play for a manager who probably appreciated that.
Oh, he would love you, dude. You'd be his favorite player, 100%. He loved old school and loved guys that played hard. Back in the day, I say this, like, you could go 0 for 3 with a couple of walks, but if it was the 7th inning, first and third, one out in a tie game, and you had one of your walks, and you went into second base and you sent somebody into left field and that run scored, you come back to the dugout a hero, man. Especially with Felipe. Like, went in hard, just crushed Craig Biggio, sent him into left field. Like, you can't do that anymore, man. You can't. No. So that little nuance of the game, I hate. I mean, I love playing baseball, hardcore, old school, hard-nosed, dirtbag, if you will. And guys still do, but it's not the same. And I don't want to sound like old and get off my lawn, but I don't like the sterilization of baseball the way it's been right now. It's not conducive. It's conducive to staying healthy and not getting dirty, but I like getting dirty and bloody and crushing guys.
I'm with you. Soon
enough, could barely even slide nowadays.
Yeah, well, soon enough, you're going to have a softball base at second base.
Right.
You have a base to slide into it.
It's gonna be. Yeah.
I mean,
don't get me wrong. The talent is better than it's ever been in the history of baseball. When you look at the top players and Mookie Betts, who I think is the best player in baseball, and I'll argue anybody that says different. I mean, Trout's good, but Trout ain't throwing out somebody from the corner, in the right field corner, at third base.
Dude, that throw was ridiculous.
Insane. Mookie Betts is my favorite player. I think he's the best player in baseball. So the talent, when you talk about the Anthony Rendones and the Juan Sotos and the Ronald Acuna Jr.'s and the Mike Trouts and Mookie Betts, I mean, the talent is off the chart right now. But and maybe it's good that they stay on the field and don't get hurt. I'm just an old school throwback kind of guy. I miss that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you've taken that mentality into the booth. Let's kind of dive into your connection with Washington now. Began with the Nats in 2011 alongside longtime broadcaster Bob Carpenter. How awesome has it been being in DC? I was reading tons of things that you just fully embraced. You're all in the DC lifestyle. If you want to kind of dive into that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just wish Danny could have experienced it. Let me say this about the World Series last year. Danny Espinosa and everybody before what happened this year are a huge part of why the Nats got to where they went. So when I say on the air that this is for every guy that ever wore the uniform, that's so true because it's been building blocks along the way, and it's been a lot of heartache with the 2012 and 14 and 17 and 8, whatever the years were, the playoffs with the first round exits. So for Danny, he's a huge part of why the Nats won the World Series this year, even though he didn't contribute particularly in 2019, laying the foundation and the groundwork for what these guys accomplished. He should feel proud of that. And I texted a lot of the old players after the Nats won and told them thanks, because I truly believe that Jason Worth changing the mindset here and the mentality, and, and Denard Span and, Tyler Clifford and Drew Storn, and just to name a few, and Adam LaRoche and Danny and Ian Desmond and the guys that were here before that turned this into a winning franchise. You just don't go from 100-something losses to a World Series championship. There's steps along the way. So these guys, I know they probably don't because they're players and like, well, I didn't get a hit last year. Well, no, they're all part of this transformation of a culture in DC, a culture that quite frankly waited for the worst thing to happen all the time. And you could feel it as a player or as a broadcaster in these big games in the crowd. You just like, they've had so many tough experiences with the Caps in the playoffs and other sports teams in this region. You could sense that they were just waiting for the worst to happen. And guess what? It did, always, at the worst time. And this year, the Nats finally got a break. And so for me, I know I'm getting long-winded here. To answer your question, I love being a part of DC. I'm a California kid. Yeah. And for me to be good at anything, as you guys have probably figured out in this interview, I had to be all in. So I moved here full-time in 2013 so that I could feel what I'm talking about right now and be a fan here and be a part of it, so that when I was on air, it was authentic. I wasn't just saying, oh, man. No, I live here now, and I know when the Caps lose how everybody feels because I'm out drinking beers with them. Like, I know when the Redskins lose how everybody feels. I drink beers with them after the Nats games every night, so I hear how the fans feel. So for me to be good here, I had to be all in. I had to be fully invested, and it's just been really cool to see me and see the region grow and be able to grow with this region. To go from, I said it at the speech in front of 1 million people, I said, to all the ghosts of playoff past, for everybody that's always worried about the worst thing that's going to happen, and it has, to the ghosts of playoff past, and everyone would see you later, my partner's home run call. So yeah, it's super neat for me to be a part of this, to experience it as a fan. I'm just a fan now. I'm not a player. I don't even think of myself as a broadcaster. I'm just a fan up there that has a microphone every night and tries to break things down. Super lucky to have my job and super lucky to have it here in DC.
Well, shit, man, you got me fired up over here. Give me chills. Like, I'm ready to turn on the game tonight. Yeah, no, that's so cool. And as a broadcaster, I could only imagine how much that helps in your broadcast and the authenticity of it and everything like that. But so awesome. You mentioned the parade and World Championship. There's so much, legacy being left and continuing to grow there in DC. So it's awesome. You guys have anything else before we let FP go here?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate FP always, working with you. You always took care of me, like you said. To let all the players know that after you guys won the World Series last year, that we had somewhat of a little bit, contribute a little bit to laying a great foundation there. But also, like you said, like to be able to live in Virginia like you do and be able to be a part of that community. My wife and I loved it there. Some of the greatest fans supported us so much to live in that community. Everywhere you went, they always said hi. They were always very friendly. They're always supportive. I loved playing there. It was such a beautiful place. I loved living there. Place, hopefully, when I'm fully retired, I would love to go back there and see a game and just see the community and go out and have dinner. Like, it's such a great place. And for you guys to win there, I always said, if you could win a World Series there wouldn't be a better city to win a World Series than Washington, D.C.
I was drunk for 2 months, man. I'm serious. I was.
Hell yeah.
Every night. Danny, you should come back and be a
Well-deserved.
Navy SEAL, dude. You'd fit in good. You just be a Navy SEAL.
I think I'm too old now.
No, man, it was amazing, Danny. It was something like I've never experienced before. I was getting on top of bars and singing "We Are the Champions." We stayed out when they won the National League. There's a little bar across the street that Zim's part owner and now called Salt Line. The whole team was there with the DJ. We stayed till 5 in the morning. We were doing $150 shots of tequila by the end of the night.
Oh,
I remember. I'll leave you guys.
Because why not?
This is one of my most embarrassing moments as a broadcaster. It's 4:35 in the morning. We've all been drinking all night, celebrating the National League championship. I'm sitting at the bar with Ryan Zimmerman and Mike Rizzo, and we have the National League pennant trophy in front of us. I'm so hammered at this point, I start calling the National League championship trophy the JV trophy. I'm like, enough with the JV trophy. Let's get the varsity one with all the flags on it. After they just won the National League. Like, it's harder to win your own league maybe than it is to win the World Series. And I'm just like, get this JV trophy out of here. Let's get the varsity one.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
To the two guys who maybe should have watched what you're saying.
Exactly. So that was the tequila talking, but it was quite a ride.
That's awesome.
So cool. G, you have anything else?
If I just wanted to add to piggyback on your guys' relationship, Danny and yours, what is the most memorable moment and call on the field that you had of Danny while he was playing?
That one time when he went 0 for 15 with 14 strikeouts. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, probably happened.
I want to say, how many times did you go deep from both sides? That used to fire me up, and I think you did it a couple of times.
Me too.
Yeah, the series that you took care of me big time was that Red series where I had like 5 home runs,
15 RBIs or something?
That was early July or something, right?
Yeah, you took care of me in
Grand
that
slam.
series. I had 2 grand slams, homered from each side of the plate in both games, and you took care of me really well on that.
Dude, you took care of yourself, man. I didn't do anything. When I take care of you is when you're struggling. But
Yeah.
the one thing I always call guys out on, I still will this day, if they're not playing hard, if they don't hustle. And Danny could be 0 for 10 and he'd still bust his butt down the line. You know, and so I never took care of Danny. Danny took care of himself when he was playing well. One of the best defenders, by the way, I've ever broadcast for, period. I'll put him up against any defender at shortstop or second. Besides that, the soft hands, the footwork, everything. He's as good as it gets. So, you know, and I saw how he worked at it every day. So you don't have to say thanks for taking care of you when you did well. I just, if a player gives me a little morsel to cover him, I will. But if they leave me out there floating in the wind and say they hit a line drive to center, I'm not going to name names, and they don't even leave the batter's box and go right to back to the dugout, I got to say something about that. So Danny was a pleasure to cover. I love watching the guy play. Even when he was struggling, I knew he was trying his ass off and working hard. So that's all that matters.
I appreciate that, Epi.
So cool.
All right.
Well,
Fest, I got to go to work. Are we done yet?
yeah, we're done.
Yeah, no,
We're done.
Hey,
Yeah,
you
I'm
also, we must throw in quickly, you also
yeah.
homered from both sides of the plate against the Cubs 1997. So you and Danny on that list together. So awesome. But again, FP, thanks for joining, man. This was a blast. Good luck on the call tonight and moving forward with this season.
Oh, man, hopefully we're not get a curly W today. They're saying last year was go 1-0 every day, go 1-0 today. With the way the schedule's been this year, I think their new motto should be go 1-0 every week. Nobody knows when they're playing.
Hey, that works. Careful,
All
it might
right.
be on a T-shirt.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, you guys. Good
Thanks,
seeing you,
FP.
Dan. You look awesome.
Hey, thanks,
Say hi
FP.
to Sarah.
Good
All right.
man. Thank you. Have
See
a
you,
good
man.
one.
Thank you, Epi.
What a cool and fun conversation with FP. Again, so awesome of him to do this with us, take his time and really appreciate him doing this for us. But kind of just to wrap up the interview there, through this game, Danny, I'm sure you can attest to it, you make a ton of connections. One that stood out for me was his connection with Felipe Alou. You hear so many good things about the Alou legacy in general, about him and Moises and just that whole thing, but to really hear how much he touched FP in his career and kind of giving him that chance, I thought that was really cool. I'm sure that's something you can kind of relate to as you went through the grind of a big league baseball player, you know?
Yeah, you definitely, as you're coming to the minor leagues, you play for different managers, and in Washington, I played for like 5 managers while I was there. But you have a relationship with certain people, and his was Felipe, and Felipe had his back. Felipe had him, I think, in the minor leagues, is what he had said prior to him being the big league manager.
Yeah.
And so, the first day he gets there, he puts him in the lineup because he knows exactly what he's going to get from him. He knows what he's going to get from FP. He's going to play hard. He's going to grind. He's going to have good at bats. He can play wherever he needs him to. He's going to just go out there and play. And, that's awesome. But what I really liked was that he took a risk in his career, which you have to. But, he said after 5 years putting up numbers, I wasn't getting an opportunity. And I went to the farm director.
Shot.
Yeah, he went to the farm director when the farm director was in town and said, basically, what the fuck? What do I have to do? And he said I was hitting 240 at the time. He said, what do I have to do in order to get an opportunity to get in the bigs? I've done everything you guys have asked. I've played well, blah, blah, blah. And the next day he gets called up. And he gets there, Lou has his back, bam. He never sees the minor leagues again, which is awesome. But, to hear him say, Felipe Alou put me in the lineup because he knew he was getting, he's a grinder, and that's what FP likes. FP enjoys covering guys that are just hard-nosed, take out the second baseman, run the catcher over, have good at bats, get hit by a pitch. Like, he enjoys that type of baseball. He enjoys the old-school style of baseball, which is how I relate to that because that's how I was brought up. That's the college I went to. When I was coming up, that's kind of what they taught. You went after the guy. When you went to slide into second base, you went in to slide to second base to put that middle infielder in left field. You weren't trying to hurt him.
It was with purpose.
But there was a purpose to the slide.
That was baseball.
You didn't allow him to make that throw to first base.
Yeah.
Not with hurting him, just by making sure you disrupted him.
No, it was part of being the team.
Right.
For sure.
Right. And I love that he loves that style of baseball. You don't see it anymore, unfortunately. I know there's guys that still play that love to play that way, but they're not allowed to. They've been handcuffed now to play their style of baseball. But it's cool to have someone in the booth that still enjoys that. Enjoys those players
and doesn't shy away from it either. You know what I mean? He'll say it. He'll call guys out because I think he mentioned that you can do whatever you want on the field, but if you don't run to first base, I'm going to say something. You know what I mean? And that's good. The locker room might not like it, but a kid watching on TV needs to know that that's not how you play the game.
It's not acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he talked about that. Like, appearances are everything. They tell a lot about a person. And to your I love that he said it, and he puts a stamp of approval on. You better run your ass off, or I'm gonna call you out so everybody knows you didn't run your ass off. Type of mentality.
Right, and he'll have your back on everything else too.
Right. No, it goes.
You're 0 for 20. He's got your back. He's in a tough patch. He's fine. This guy's a great ball player, but if you don't play hard, he'll say something.
Yeah,
for sure. And I'll go to my biggest takeaway from the whole review. I loved that he uses the quote from his Alou with the "There goes the no-hitter." Type quote, and I'll tell you why. Because now, after I heard that came from there, and I hear, like I mentioned, heard a lot of games and a lot of calls of his, and he does use it. The other day I was on Twitter, and it actually popped up. I saw somebody commented, "Dude, bro, you got to stop using or saying 'there goes the no-hitter.' It gets old. It's juvenile," or something like that. And he freaking popped on and wrote out exactly where it came from and all that, and basically shut dude up. And I was like, it just made me laugh. Yeah. Like, God, people, freaking keyboard warriors. But
keyboard warriors,
that he uses that. Oh, they're everywhere, and they're always going to be there. And I mean,
this is what I really wish with the social media. All these keyboard warriors want to pop off all these big leaguers and professional athletes. I wish they were allowed to go back at them.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Right, I do, but they can't. They can't say a word. They'll get in trouble. They'll get fined. They'll get reprimanded. Man, I would love it because they would all shut up.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, kind of off topic, but I saw a UFC fighter. He posted something over this last weekend, and some guy made a comment to that point, like, quit being a bitch, blah, 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 this and that, you'll never do something or whatever. And the UFC guy goes, that's funny, you run your mouth, this and that. Would you say this to me face to face? And the other guy responded, was like, hell no, you kicked my ass to freaking Sunday, this and that. And the guy goes, at least you're honest.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I was just like, hey, at least the guy freaking called out and he took it, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
But my biggest takeaway, to get back to FP though, I didn't realize, I mean, his story, his road to the big leagues, but he never went back. He never went back down to the minors. Like, and that is actually incredible, you know? Like, he finally got that shot and he freaking took it and took every advantage of being in this body was. And all of that goes back to the hard work and the freaking blood, sweat, and tears that he put into the game to get himself in that position. Even though he was hitting 240, the coach was like, all right, if this guy wanted to run his mouth, freaking throw him out there. Let's see it. And I guarantee part of them was like, he won't ask this again. Let's put him on the spot. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, this guy's holding his own. And that's something that, you know, you have to make it.
And totally banked on himself, because he was like, hey, if I go up there and I suck, go have some beers and cheers to me. And you were right. You know, like, he knew that it was like, this is going to be one shot. And even when he was signing his papers to come back, it was, I ain't going back, so I don't care what the contract says. You know what I mean? And that was what was cool about him, like, just kind of being all in and living in that DC lifestyle and embracing that, and his connection and letting us those insights of the authenticity of, like, I know Caps fans are sad because I was drinking with them and watched them lose. You know what I mean? Like, he's really gotten to know that area, which I think is really cool. And like I said, it adds some authenticity to his work, and even just talking to him, you can just tell he's that kind of guy. You know,
he's all in. He's all in. I used to live when I was there. I lived down the road from him. I literally like maybe 2-3 blocks from the road from him. He loves it there. I know the team likes him. Or when I was there, the guys liked him. But he's someone that was easy to get along with, and you know, I always appreciated him. But I'm glad to see that he's doing well and that he's still there, and he's had a long career covering the Nationals. And
he survived a 2-month bender or whatever. He said he was drunk for 2 months. Like, such a good hero. Time. He told some stories that was what was cool. It was like I said, we didn't have to talk to him for a long time, but we had a good time. You know what I mean? Like, he let us into some really cool stuff. Yeah, no, he had some stories that we could have probably gone on all day about himself, Dozier, all the whole gang. So I'm sure they had a heck of a time during that run. But the whole conversation was awesome. Had a good time with FB. So again, thank him for taking the time. But episode 12 is now in the books, fellas. A reminder, everyone, join us next week, Tuesday. As we said, that's what we're aiming for, every Tuesday. Trying to put out a new episode for you guys, episode 13 next week. We'll have some updates throughout the week on our NBA playoff teams. Let's not forget, Garrett, you have the Clippers and Trailblazers, Danny, the Pacers and the Nets, and Seth has the Rockets and the Nuggets.
What time is kickoff?
Kickoff is right around first pitch. I always forget. But it'll just be a fun little game.
Before or after they drop the puck?
There is a little bit on the line. Whoever's one team, single team, double team, whoever's teams go the farthest gets to pick what the other two losers have to do. So I'll decide what you guys are going to have to do, because the Rockets and Nuggets obviously know to step their shit up. But I'm excited. Episode 13 coming next week. Find us on Instagram, CBS _podcast, Twitter at CBS Pods. Follow, subscribe, rate, review, do it all. Find us on YouTube. You can watch all the video portion of this. You can see all of our ugly mugs on there. Full-length interviews, everything that is on there. Catch all episodes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, everything like that. But again, appreciate all the support. Can't wait to show you the next one. Heck of a good time. So another good chat. But that does it for us here. Danny, Garrett, I'm Seth. Thanks everyone for listening from wherever you may have. And catch you on the flip side. Peace.
Peace.